Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to get through this thing called life.
I've just been a kid by the side of the road, watching the world. Well, it's all just a show. Those we looked up to are not who they seem. They flash their symbols in a horrible scheme. We've been lied to about so many things. The television seeps poison as the mockingbirds sing. We just want freedom. We just want freedom. We just want freedom now, now. We just want freedom now. Scripts of the movies show part of the plots. Under the surface lies plenty of rot. Many actors play a devious role. Made a deal with the devil under mind control. The leaders are blackmailed. They sold us out. Eyes and souls as black as coal. Gain their clout. We just want freedom. We just want freedom. We just want freedom now, now. We just want freedom now. We just want freedom. We just want freedom. We just want freedom now, now. We just want freedom now. No longer slaves in this human race. Explore the stars and travel space. The history we learned isn't even real. It's been rewritten as part of the deal. We've lived in a psyop, our DNA dumbed down. The world's been run by the cabal, the clowns. They want us divided and uninformed. Our morality gone as part of the norm. We just want freedom. We just want freedom. We just want freedom now, now. We just want freedom now. We just want freedom. We just want freedom. We just want freedom now, now. We just want freedom now. So raise your mind and join the fight. Unveil the truth from darkness to light. Where we go one. Where we go one. We go all. We go all. Where we go one. Where we go one. We go all.
Lesson from Q. It's up to you to decide who's telling the truth and who is not, who you can trust and who you can't, and who will help you survive and who won't. Be careful who you follow. Q.
Grand Rising, everybody. It's Bruce Poppy here. This is Unpopular Viewpoint. Today is Friday, the 15th of December, 2023. Want to welcome all my friends and family, fellow patriots, even you trolls, haters, and stalkers. If you guys hang around for a minute, you just might learn something. I have to tell you, I'm really jacked up and excited about this morning. I got some guests joining me. They're from the future. They're time travelers from the future. They'll be coming to us 7 hours from the future, all the way from South Africa, on the other side of the rock that we call Earth. Whether it's round or flat, I don't know. I haven't been up there to take a gander, but my gut tells me that it's not a spinning globe floating through space. The chat is great this morning already. All kinds of people saying hello. I'm going to bring my guests here in a second. I just want to do a couple of quick things. Buckshot and Nezzy, she's from over there as well. Nezzy Wilder, Quasi Pete in the house. El Sunray, Mrs. Poppy's in. Buckshot. Good morning, Grand Rising, everybody. Joey G's bringing out the coffee and the cannolis. Let's see, huh? Natalie says she wants her cannoli, Joey. She wants her cannoli, Joey. She's a little hungry this morning. So, Quasi Pete's, worried about the sun. Yeah, he just wants cannolis now. So it's all kinds of fun. The dancing emojis are amazing. The new intro that I put together. There's never been, the universe doesn't do shit by mistake. There's never been a more true statement than that little tag in I put at the end about the lesson from Q. Be careful, the truth has never mattered more. It's up to you to decide who's telling the truth and who's not. There's some stuff that's coming into my realm, in between my, it's coming into my temple, into my thing this morning that is like, holy fork, what is going on? I'm not going to talk a lot about it right now. I need to dig into it myself and really understand what's going on, but there's some mind-blowing shit that's popping off concerning some people. I changed my background, because it's showing kind of the globe, from space thing. It's kind of a funny joke, but anyway, I digress. But I'm super excited to bring in, they're joining us, like I said, from the future, my friends, new friends. It's amazing how the universe puts people in your path and you just resonate. It's like your soul family. We're supposed to be together. I've only known these people, I don't know, a few weeks, maybe less than that. Never met personally, of course, because I've never been on that side of the situation. But how we came together was really, really strange. We're going to have a discussion. So I'm going to bring them out of the waiting room and introduce you all to Rob and Mixx of the Mercury family. Come on in, you guys, if you're ready to roll. Takes them a second here. We're using Zoom this morning. It's different than the normal restream thing that I use. But there they are. There's Mr. Rob. Good morning, sir. Unmute yourself.
There you go.
Are we good? Hi.
Got you.
Can you able to hear me good?
I hear you. Yeah.
There you go.
Very good. Excellent.
How are you guys today? Well, it's this morning for me. It's afternoon for you. How is the future?
No, it's good. It's all good. You guys are fine for the next 8 hours. No major tragedies or anything. Nothing. I haven't seen any missiles fly past or tanks roll down the road or anything like that at the moment.
Right.
Really know.
Yeah, things can change on a dime.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's why we always got to keep ourselves aware. So for people who are not aware of who you are, what kind of introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your background, initially, and then kind of how you got started in making videos and being a digital soldier and trying to enlighten and awaken humanity.
Well, okay, so a little bit about my background, you said, is that right? Yeah? Did I get that? Okay. Well, I have a very interesting background. I'm actually a trained remote viewer. This goes back to the military where I was stationed at two military. I was part of two military regiment, which is north of in the country I live in, South Africa, which is right at the end of the African continent. In case anybody didn't really know that, but the name kind of gives it away. I've lost my next picture. Oh, there we go. Sorry, this mouse is moving and we just expanded. Let me just expand it. Hold on, I just want to expand this picture. Okay, there. I just couldn't see myself. The computer's moving around. Mixx is actually I found a contact when I was there. I was in an underground military base, which is in the north of the country of South Africa. And I was in signals, like I said, and I did a lot of training in that. I did like 9 months of training. It was all to do with it was like a receiving station. So let's just say that the main communications of the military got, let's say carpet bombed and like attacked, and there would be a secret signals base in South Africa that then would take over, have like sort of one that couldn't be seen, couldn't be found. Because of course the first thing really in any kind of military attack is to take out signals and communication. Once you've done that, suddenly everything's in a bit of chaos. So, and South Africa in the days when I was around, there's a war going on with the CIA, which was in a place called Angola, which is one of the countries and surrounding countries. There was kind of a CIA kind of Angolan war going on for South Africans. And we were very similar to Israel, where everyone who was a male that was 18 had to get and had to go through military training, unless you were in university studying to become a lawyer or a doctor or something, and they would leave you alone. And then so that's sort of so we all had to do it, just the Israelis, and that's just to show sort of we had very, very good intelligence. We were the second best intelligence in the world in our day in South Africa, and so I was part of military intelligence, being in signals and communication. You can actually Google Google my regiment, and it will show you military bases called Kloof, which is sort of like a South African Dutch word. We speak in South Africa, we have a language called Afrikaans, which comes from the Dutch settlers or another crowd of people that came and lived in South Africa. And so we have these words. So it's called Kloof, and that's where the military base was. And there's actually schematics on the internet of how the base was built, interestingly enough, from long ago, from, ages, I think it's like the 70s or something when they built it. And the building was actually underground because a whole lot of stories underground, and the building was suspended in water, believe it or not, in a massive water tank. So that if you try to attack this base or whatever, the water, so the building was kind of underground, and then it was in like a moat of water, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So it would absorb the shock of you could drop a half a ton, which is a 500 kilogram bomb, directly onto the top area of the space, and it would be like nothing happened. You know what I mean? Quite interesting. Big, thick pores, huge thick pores, nuclear proof, and it was biological. It was like a B&W base called B&W, which is biological warfare and chemical warfare. CB&W. CB&W base, immune to biological warfare and whatever else. So that's sort of my background. And in that base, I got remote viewing training, techniques, methods, methods of control, all sorts of very interesting things. And the guy that trained me there he was like the chef of the base. He was actually the chef. Believe it. It's sort of something. It's almost like kind of a Hollywood movie when you think about it now. When you go back in the past. And he trained me. And when we first met each other, I couldn't really figure out what was going on because he was the only English-speaking guy besides me, because all the other people that I was with were speaking the sort of Dutch language that I was referring to. They were very Dutch, South African, like what they call Afrikaners. So it's a different language. I mean, I'm actually basically an English-speaking guy that learned to speak it. Everybody learns to speak it in school. In most countries, like a double language, you might speak English or French or German and English or whatever, it's kind of thing. So that's where I got my training with this guy. And he was the only other English person besides me, because interesting. And so we ended up there, and then that's why I got my training. And then since then, I've gone through, my life. I've been in truth movement for 33 years. There was no truth movement in those days, but since the age of 24, when I left the military, I went straight into been doing things, not just reading or researching. I've been doing things in the world. I've flown to many different locations and done further training and different stuff. So there's quite my background. And I'm involved in something called ESP, Engineering and Mechanics, which is very interesting field, extrasensory perception, engineering and mechanics. And so I'm a clairvoyant by birth, if I drift here. So, and then what that does is, it means that a lot of the techniques and the way that you handle things, especially if you train somebody else or show somebody what to do, then you have to be able to see what's in their space. And so it's quite an esoteric subject. I'm a very straightforward, rational, sequitur person. I'm not a woo-woo guy. I'm not a crystal dangler or, incense burning and sort of ringing bowls. I can appreciate that because that's very good. There's a lot of Buddhist technique involved. I'll have you know, but original Buddhism, Taoism or anything else, just the original thing, the Karma Siddhartha, sort of Buddhist stuff. And if you're interested in remote viewing, you can look up a person called Russell Targ. And he's quite old now. He's close to 80. He was one of the original guys in this, got money from the CIA and did all the military programs of the United States military. And he got sponsored to investigate this field of remote viewing, which really sort of come from Ingo Swann. He was the guy that coined remote viewing. And he was one of the best remote viewers in the world. And there are others. This is something everyone can do, actually. It's not reserved to a small group of people.
Sure. So that's what's kind of, you just kind of led me right into kind of my first kind of question about this, because there's a lot of people out there think, oh, remote viewing, ESP, it's all kind of woo-woo, it's all fake, crystal ball type, stuff.
Yeah.
But it's really, I am amazed myself how the universe lines things up, because in my life, maybe just before coming across and meeting and having conversation with you guys, I have been drawn in, being led or have more interest in myself of exploring these different modalities. And you said you were trained in the military for remote viewing.
I was.
Most people, in this truth movement, kind of have some cursory or basic knowledge of the gateway experience, or the gateway, the CIA stuff. It's funny you mentioned the CIA war with Angola. It seems like CIA's got their fingers in every damn where. And usually it's not for the benefit of humanity.
No, CIA is actually a disinformation corporation.
Yeah.
Because they are involved in counterintelligence. That's their main role, is to secure what are really secrets and misdirect. So they're specialists at misdirection, essentially, which is really what David Copperfield used to do when he used to make a trick. Had to work out what is the misdirection here, so that the sleight of hand over here isn't being seen whilst I'm keeping you quite busy over here. Something else is happening over here, and it goes quick, and then you don't see it. So one of the things that remote viewers do, especially in Russia and other countries, was a big thing after during the Cold War. People were looking for alternative methods of finding out data, getting information. And because there was a lot of human intelligence. You get artificial intelligence now. Remote viewing and all of that is human intelligence, and human intelligence is vastly more valuable than artificial intelligence, because there are aspects of sort of psychic ability where people can tell that certain things are happening. They can read people, and so sometimes that was used a lot, like when they were interrogating somebody or interviewing someone, whether they didn't know whether they could trust somebody or not, they would bring, a few psychics into the room, and they would be around there. It was quite common because people were looking for people to really read people, figure out what they were doing. So there was a lot of application to it. It's not just, set this location and here's the longitude and latitude or whatever, something like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, 'cause when you talk, and then the mis and disinformation about all this, I'm finding out, through my own journey in this thing of how much has been obfuscated and hid from us. Where, like you said, they say, look over here while they're doing stuff over here. They've labeled, and I hate labels. This is part of their, I believe, the plan, to keep us separated and divided so that we can't come together on unity and take them all out. That's what this whole process that we're going through right now, this whole great awakening, is attempting to remove all the evil. I call them the Luciferian asshats, that have had their boot in the neck of humanity since the dawn of time. But they want to label the remote viewers, the people who are really, connected in a true spiritual sense to source, God, universe, however you want to call it, as occult, as crazy as, that we're not the way. That there's this black magic type of stuff. That's the seeding. That's the seeding that has been gone into people's minds almost our entire lives. Right?
Yes, actually, quickly, I just wanted to say there is that this thing of magic is an important item when it gets involved with remote viewing, because with remote viewing, sometimes you actually get data out of nowhere, just comes out of nowhere. You just know something. It's sort of referred to as knowingness. So if you build a relationship with somebody and it's strong enough, you see it in, mothers and sons and families and twins, and you see it in a lot of instances where people genuinely are actually quite almost like twins. They're like, when you just get along with somebody, some people end up marrying this woman because it's just a perfect relationship. And when you have something like this, and then you put the two people at a distance from each other, and they still pick up the signals from each other. Like a mother will know the son, you know what I mean? And so there's this natural part, what I call supernature, like supernatural. Human beings are actually supernatural entities because they're aware, they're aware of being aware of something. So they're aware of being aware of something. Whereas if you take the animal kingdom, all the kingdoms of animals and things, you don't have that same attribute. You have awareness, super quick, super fast, sharp. Animals are very, very aware and very sharp. They're not aware of being aware. It's the addition. It's like a double. It's like a double up. If with a supernatural sense, two kinds of awareness that are functioning perfectly together. But with magic, I just wanted to say something about magic. Is that the actual remote viewers came out of this magic group. They talk about magi, like magi this and magi that or whatever, and sort of magi 12 UFO stuff. Yeah, that kind of thing. And everybody knows about, that kind of background, 1947. So I'm very much rooted in 1947. There's a reason for that, because some of the intelligence that came out of the Second World War, the world really ended in 1947. It's a subject, an interesting subject. And the hat of 107, hat of 107 actually goes back to 1947. It's a very interesting story that, in fact, it's a hat that 107 is wearing. Who's 107? He's an intelligence officer, contractor, the United States, kind of political, social, right across the board. He's been an intelligence officer his whole life, really, end of the day. And and so that's why he's always he's like the mechanic. You have politicians and people doing things, but he's the guy that goes around the corner and actually has a conversation with people, and then kind of like revolves. He's a man that can walk through any revolving door. He goes in here, he can go into this agency, he can revolve and go into that agency. And he deals a lot with private conversation and relationships that are kept over decades. Because people in politics and in military industrial complex or in journalism or whatever it is, they come and go. They're in this position and then they're out. Then they're in that position, then they're out. Then they get promoted and they're out. Or something happens or whatever to them, or they disappear or they die off or whatever the case may be. But you have to have people in intelligence and build relationships and maintain them over decades. This is crucial because the understandings are always adjusted. Certain things are adjusted all the time. And a lot of these politicians are quite bombastic. And have hidden agendas and make deals with other politicians and everything. And people have to try and keep track of what people are doing in the background. So a lot of it is like surveillance, intelligence, listening into people and just checking to see what's really going on. Because they're also sane people. You have to try and keep things running properly. And they can't always rely, on what they're told by their own people, like the Americans. So this is where 107 comes in. And that hack goes back to Magic, 1947. It was a group that used to decode communications in signals and communications. And if you look them up, just look up Magic on the internet and you'll be able to read it for yourself.
Magic, what was the name of the group?
Yeah, Magic. Magic were the decoders of the people that deal with encryption and have to track things and work out what people were saying. This was like Churchill and all these different people. They had like a magic group that were allowed to listen into anything and have it, because a lot of the conversations that were around in those days, just telephone calls on the wire. In other words, you were like listening on the wire. You were sort of tapping and listening in, and they were kind of like you call it like low tech stuff. But I mean, the people involved were the most intelligent, because there was a lot of buzzwords and phrases and nuances, and there was a lot of code in people's speech. So they would, and there's a lot of instructions coming on the phone. It wasn't actually Winston Churchill. He wasn't in control of anything at all. He was just like the manager. Like presidents are managers. That's what.
Right.
And
Yeah.
you've got real intelligence, the people who work everything out, background, and those are the people. Like in case of Magic, they had to crack a lot of enemy codes and do different things. They were dealing with spycraft and statecraft and all this different types of stuff. And you have to have those people. Without them, who's gonna figure out what's going on and who's doing what?
Right.
Yeah.
And some of the problem now that in that whole sense and game is now that they're using all that stuff for their own betterment, right? Instead of the benefit of humanity, we're trying to make that shift from the nefarious intelligence or using these giftings that we have been suppressed in us so long to be able to benefit humanity. That's what I really want. I mean, I tell people all the time, the reason I started this, putting my face in front of a webcam is I needed it for therapy for myself, right? Because my head was going to explode trying to figure out what was going on with, I likened Trump to Toto in The Wizard of Oz, right? He pulled the curtain back so we could kind of see, but now it's up to us. I was, you had said you've been doing things. You're not just researching. You're not just, filling, a bunch of empty stuff. You are doing things. So, what are some of the things that, you've been doing, or how could you encourage other people? Because that's what I'm always about, is trying to encourage people to actually get active instead of just sitting on the couch, instead of just, researching for your own knowledge. Because the Bible says people perish for a lack of knowledge. That is only partially true. You can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't do anything with that knowledge, what's the point?
Now, what's the point? Yeah, exactly. What is the point? It's guys who pride themselves on knowing everything, but then can't figure something out. One of the things I say to people, especially when these other truthers on the internet, is why don't you make a fucking prediction? You know what I mean? Why don't you just stick it out there and say, this is what's going to happen, or this is what's going on, or this is what I'm picking up? And there's a lot of proof of predictions on my video stream. Lots of them. Proof of prediction of this, proof of prediction of that. Like before the Ukraine war started, I made this video 3 days before the invasion, about 3 days before. I said Backpat is on the move. Backpat is the cyber intelligence unit of the Russians. And I didn't how I knew it. So I made this thing. I said Backpat's on the move, which means what they were doing was they were flying drones in, and they were landing these drones on top of buildings. A whole drone like release through Ukraine, and they put all these drones on top of these high buildings so that they could pick up cell communications and other areas like telemetry and wavelengths of various, because communications is very sophisticated. And you need something in the area if they were going to shut down certain things or change certain things. So they put all that stuff out there. So Blackbat was the cyber intelligence establishing this communication network so they could pick up what the Ukrainians were doing and things like that. So that was super bright. And then there's other things like, that Trump was going to go for presidency, when he was going to say it, on what date he was going to say it, whatever. Just little things. because there's a lot of action going on, and you've got to have to pick something that you're going to protect, because you might, you know what I mean? You've got to say, okay, well, what should I put out there, especially with a video, because you can't do one every day. So then I just decide. There's lots of things, and also sort of Flynn Brothers made a prediction for going on 4 years now. The General Flynn was going to get a 4th star, going to go from a 3-star general to a 4th-star general, which is quite a huge thing. Because getting that extra star meant what? Meant that he would be a full-blown sort of commander, whatever what they called it. I'm not in the United. I don't know much about the United States military, but then it was a thing of, and then because he got that 4th star, he immediately was posted as one of the senior commanders in Hawaii. What did that mean? Well, that meant that then he would be in control of the South Pacific Fleet and the security of the entire area of the east of this planet, or eastern side of the world. I mean, if you take this bubble I've got behind me here, the entire security of entire eastern sort of South Pacific region or whatever, all the Indo-Pacific. So all those Navy ships going all the way around, patrolling up and down, making sure that China behaves, and then it's a very intense part of the world. So that is about 25 countries that are in very close proximity to each other. Okay. Not like in the United States. On this side of the world, over here, you've got virtually nothing. The United States with Canada glued on the top, and Mexico down below, and a couple of troublemakers in South America. But there's nothing really, you're not in close proximity to anybody. But on this side of the world, everyone's, if you look at the map, it's very intense. So just hold a moment, yeah. Where? Oh yeah. So let me just go into things that I did in the truth in the arena of it. It didn't have a name. It was really about. Hold on. That was a bit of a loud. Someone drove past. Very loud noise. Okay, so is that I was raising funds. I was most of it was a lot of bit of training. So I had to go to different places in the world and do different things with different people. There's some people that are gifted. And this is something that people are not familiar with. If you take like society, you take people. There's people that are gifted, and they have special gifts that are very unexplainable. Like some people can bend spoons, with their minds and stuff, and they can do incredible things. People think it's magic. It's actually, you've seen spoon benders like Uri Geller and stuff like that, right? I have a friend that's a spoon bender. He can bend cutlery, forks, spoons. He makes twists in them. But he turns your spoon around and around and around, and then he gives it to you, And then he can take a fork and go like this, and eventually the fork will just go like that, You can do all these clever things, and there's certain people that are very, very clairvoyant. They can figure out what you're thinking. They can see what you see. So in that mode, sort of clairvoyant, it's actually psychic mode. You can teach people certain things because if you have two psychics sitting with each other, what happens then? You start to see the same thing, and you can make adjustments. So that kind of technology, and there's a technology involved in it, and the mind becomes redefined. There's lots of things, and then the spiritual side of life becomes very well known and understood. The mysteries fall away. There's all sorts of very interesting things. You deal with things like thought and consideration, and so now there's a lot of training. That's an environment that's got to be away from the crossroads of the world. You can't be sitting in a busy city with idiots running around, like, having accidents and doing stupid things and getting drunk and, doing weird stuff like that. You have to be in a very calm location where you're able to do this kind of training. So that's the kind of stuff that I did. And then the whole point is, part of the point is supposed to help other people. It's also part of you're supposed to spread you're supposed to educate people. And so there's a lot of my friends from the past that have done that are still doing it. People that are interested, they look for people with psychic predisposition. And then those people get located. And then, over time, talking about over a long period of time, because we've been busy with this thing that's been going since 1947, this ultraviolet group, as I call them, basically. And so, people know people, they get involved or whatever. And as time goes by, you get more and more people who end up joining a group because of those reasons. And then what else could I say is, given seminars when I was 20. When I was 20, Mixx is helping me in the background here with a couple of notes, just in case I guess what also happens as well is that the world is controlled by industrial psychology. You have brainwashing, you've got, that whole subject of you were talking about, like just what else can I call it? Also, sort of implanting ideas, hypnotic suggestion, drugs, and all sorts of weird things, human sciences, social sciences, and there's a lot of control in the world, and people are programmed. So our basic mission was to figure out, how can you deprogram man? Could you deprogram a person? How would you do that? And in 1947, that was the mission of the original 107 Hack, was that, yes, you have intelligence, but how do you help people out of that? And so that was kind of like one of the main things what research came out of. And because man's actually a spiritual entity, it has gotten so hammered, bashed constantly. All of these mediocre forces on him, multiple mediocre forces. Very mediocre, not too heavy. Don't push a guy too hard, because then he finds something out. It's all got to be very subtle. What I call subtle force. It's a subtle power. And that's how you can, and a lot of it. No matter where he goes,
And they use all kinds of different stuff. I think some of the stuff you're talking to, that many of the people that may be watching this, or kind of new, to this type of ideology or thinking or awakening, the MK Ultra, that's what we call it, MK Ultra,
yes.
Through the programming of the television, the ads, the constant beratement to our psyche and to our brain, to our senses, that they want, that it's all about control. And that's what they're starting to lose now through this whole movement, is people are awaking to it's like you had mentioned David Copperfield. I had used the analogy, and I don't even remember where it came, but maybe it was just poured into me. But I mean, it's just once you know how David Copperfield does his illusion, his trick, then that illusion doesn't have the same power that it has, right? So if you see a trick, you're like, oh wow, you're amazed, you're just in awe that how can he make this airplane sitting right in front of me just disappear, right? How can he do that? But once you understand and know how he does that, then it just doesn't have the same power over you, and you can break that cycle, that spell that they put in you. And so that's where lots of people are in different various levels of this breaking of the spell, breaking of the what's a good word, of the veil, or of just the darkness, the glasses that they put on us. So like that movie with where you could they put the glasses on, you can see all the other stuff.
Yeah.
I also used the analogy recently that it was, again, I don't know where it came from, just popped into me, is you've seen those pictures that have all there's just looks like a hodgepodge of colors. It doesn't look like there's anything there. But if you squint your eyes and you look at it a certain way, or you bring it to your nose and then slowly pull it back, you can see that there's a picture within the picture. Right, there might be a 3D elephant or some picture in there.
Yeah.
And when my kids, because I have 4 kids, they brought those home and they're like, "Here, look, can't you see? There's an elephant there." And I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about? There's no elephant there. I couldn't see it." But once I saw it, I was like, "Oh shit! How could I not see that before?" And that's the process I believe that we're going through right now. Is some people can see the picture very easily, others still can't see the picture. They're like, What are you talking about? What
are you talking about?
You're crazy. That's a conspiracy theory, right? You're a crackpot. There's no way that's true. But then once all of a sudden, bam, the light bulb goes on, so to speak, and they're like, "Holy cow! I can't believe I didn't see this before." That's kind of a sum total of where we're at in this awakening process. Would you agree?
Yeah, I do agree. Indeed, absolutely. You see, the thing is that there's a lot of things in this world that are fake. Now, sciences that are fake. There's an entire field of science. There's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 different sciences like that you can study at university that are fake, not really real. They make out like they're real, and what they do is that everything is so well worked out. I'll give you an example of the basic of what it is when you stick with a whole lot of fake field. One thing that man is not allowed to do is know what his goal is. Like, it's something unknown to him. We don't know what the goal of man is. It's like, what could it possibly, must be something. There's a video that I did on the goal of man, and I explained to people why it is that we can't. People want to know what's my purpose in life.
Right.
What's my purpose in life? Well, that's a valid question. What is your purpose in life? Then you have to say, well, first of all, what is the goal of man? Because if you don't have something, if you don't have any, the goal of man also involves the future of people, world. What are we doing here in this, universe, galaxy? But well, we have to have a goal, because otherwise being here would be pointless. But it's not like, and so actually, that is unknown. The goal of man is to discover the goal of man. He hasn't had a chance to do that because the world is so chaotic and upside down and back to front. There's always crap happening. There's wars all the time, people fighting over shit all the time. It's constant distraction. And then you've just got the climate and the earthquakes and all that. You've got like a lot of stuff going on here, and so people get lost in all of it. And that's what upsets us the most, is that we feel like we just don't know anything. We can never really figure out what's going to happen next. We have no prediction, this kind of thing. And that's very upsetting. Spiritual beings, because they don't know where they are, they don't know why they're here, they don't know what they're supposed to be doing when it comes to project world or something. What are we supposed to be doing? What's the mission? What's the plan?
Right.
Exactly. And then where am I going? I came from someplace, don't know where I am. I'm doing something, and then I'm going to go somewhere, but I don't know where I came from. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm doing here in this little thing called life, or whatever. There's a lot of mysteries involved. So these scientists, these scientists and sciences, the human sciences, essentially, the corporate human sciences, they tell us what we are, who we are, how it is, how we think, all this kind of weird stuff. It's all bullshit. It's all fake. And that's why we'll never get any of those 3 or 4 answers at all. It'll be this big fucking mystery, and it's gone forever. Like pedaling a bicycle with no chain on it. Just keep going.
Right.
And the cabal have
with those questions. You said those 3 questions. Where did I come from? Where are I going? What's my purpose? Then they installed religion to kind of fill that void. To fill that void, to give you some answers about, and it's more about fucking control than it is about giving you answers for any damn thing. One of my best, I adopted her as my spiritual mother, Carol Maureen Friesen, lives in Costa Rica. She says, purpose is to love ourselves. Mission is different. So she has poured tons into my life, and she's a fantastic individual. If you don't know of her, you can find, and I can introduce you guys. I think you guys would hit it off great. She's an amazing human being. But yeah, there's so much that's really the basis. I mean, you just kind of nailed the whole thing right there. What is our purpose? What is our mission? Why are we here? Where are we going to go? And then they put all these mechanisms in place to try to fill those voids, and those mechanisms are fallacies to begin with.
Yeah, that's the whole point. Because what you've got is the game. See, there is a game here in this universe. It's unknown. That's not known about, really. It was like, what game? There's no game going on here. It's the fuck up. So, there is a game. We don't know what the game is. See, it's been kept from us. It's been, what happened was they've moved a whole lot of things around, like the cabal. This is what the cabal is. Who are the cabal? The cabal are the people who want us to adapt. Who want us to adapt to how things are. That's what they need. That's what they want from us. What do they want? They want us to adapt in any way possible. It doesn't matter what it is. If you look at it, that is one of the most basic pieces of data on what I call methods of control. Method of control is get the guy to adapt to everything. In other words, education is all about adaptation. It's about adapting to what? That's why we have to be educated, because then we can run the world the way they say. We're adapting to their methods of control. This is, we use accountants, lawyers, doctors, judges. We use the Freemasons and whatever else, the CIA, whatever we use, and we use the United States military in this way. We use politics in this way. We do everything that way, this way. If there's something wrong with you, you go to see a social scientist or a shrink or something, and he'll do it this way, that way, and so on. And then you've got, or if you're feeling bad, take this drug, here we go, take more of it, try some of that, see what happens. The chemical imbalance or something, the guy says it must be a chemical imbalance, and somebody's like tapping on your uranium to see if there's some, chemical that didn't get produced. There's no test for that. Not exactly, I don't know, stick a syringe in a guy's head and pull out some brain juice and say, yes, it looks to me like there's a bit of a chemical imbalance. It's all bullshit. The whole thing's fucking shite. And the Nazis loved this stuff. They did lots of experiments on people to try and figure out more, things about them. To Dr. Evil type stuff, which was actually Dr. Evil stuff. But then which also goes back to Second World War. Everything goes back to the Second World War. The Second World War never ended. Never ended. Because it went cold. Second World War went cold. Stopped fighting. Didn't stop the stuff. Just went into a Cold War. Right now, we are sitting in a Cold War situation. Just like with Russia. The Third World War, 107 talks about Cold War situation with Russia. People didn't know what's happening. He said we won the Third World War. He says that because of the ruble and, I don't know, Russia and, collapsing the old sort of communist empire, blah, 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 whatever. Well, it's still the same war. We're still at war. When was America never at war? When we were never at war.
No, always.
Always.
We know about, the city of London controls the finances, the Vatican controlling the religion, and then the United States is the military of all these evil cabal motherfuckers that have that's their purpose. Like you said, the Second World War really never ended. We just stopped shooting bullets and dropping bombs, but the war has been going on and it's been escalating now. People talk about this fifth generation warfare. That's exactly what we're living through. It's becoming a more of an information war for the hearts and minds of people to be able to align with, you have to pick a side, right?
Yes.
Pick a side, Republican, Democrat. You're either for Israel or you're for terrorists, the Palestinians. There has to be some type of thing. There's always this bullshit that they're trying to divide. If humanity, we could end it right now. We could stop everything right now if people would just stop all the biases, stop all of the division, because there's no reason for us to be divided other than the artificial bullshit that they have poured into our minds and our spirits our entire lives.
Yeah, it's correct. Look, this is a funny thing. There's data connected to everything. For a beings looking for the data, beings looking for the information and need the data. That's what we're struggling over, because it is a function in this world that has gone unexpressed. The function is unexpressed, meaning that a person, keeper of truth, a KOT, keeper of truth, of truthful events. Someone reported something down or whatever. Whatever, you can't figure out what happened. So the keeper of truth, or let's say the people who are the ones who know what's going on. There's a whole lot don't know, and then these guys do know. That's where, if a function is not expressed, it's unknowingly worn by everyone. That's one of my datums. If a function is not expressed, it's unknowingly worn by everyone. So what is occurring? What is the truth movement? What is the movement? Well, it's actually, we're trying to get the data, fuck's sake. We don't have any information. We don't know what the fuck's going on. Who's doing what to who, and when did they do it? How did they do it and stuff? Now we're getting leaks that are coming out. But it's the age of ethics. Age of ethics and justice. I've been saying this for over 2 years. Now you see, 2024, what is it? It's justice. It's actually ethics. It's the age of ethics. So I've made a prediction 3 years back. Oh, maybe I started about 2 years ago with this. There are 3 ages we're going to go through really quickly. So this is like turbo boosters on. We're going to go through the age of ethics, which means justice and investigations and ethics. Because it's actually ethics in the end that we don't have. what's missing. If a function is not expressed, unknowingly warn everybody. We're trying to find out the truth because they're trying to fix what's broken, fix kind of reverse, all of the suppression and file and everything. So that's ethics. There is no ethics. There's only justice, but it's kind of slightly, skewed towards keeping people that the cabal love in power. And then I did a Star Chamber video. If you look up Star Chamber, that's something that goes back 500 years ago. See, power, people in power and royalty wanted to Star Chamber. There's no trial or anything. You go into a room and it's all private and sit there, and then they ask you for all the information you have, and it's just a way of you implicating yourself with no one to defend you, no lawyer or no one to help you out. You kind of just like an interrogation system. And then I mentioned Star Chamber with January the 6th. Gave you this version of the story and nothing else. They were terrorists or something or whatever. It was a Star Chamber situation. So I did a remote view prediction on that. And then 107 started saying this is a Star Chamber situation. This is very interesting. Because it's an application, 500 years old. So it's how the power, keep in power by the sort of Star Chamber system. And everything's classified and overclassified, and eventually nobody finds anything out. I don't remember what I was talking about actually, but really, the age of ethics. You have the age of ethics, then this is on turbocharge. This is like shoving people through, like push them through. They won't even know half the time, they don't even know what the fuck they're doing. They don't even know what's going on. They just know something. They can feel something's happening. They can feel it's very tense. A lot of tension, a lot of emotion, a lot of frustration, anger, despair, all this heavy emotion attached to the frustration of it. So age of ethics, which is only really coming into its force of intelligence and force. Intelligence and force. You have to balance a few things. You have to have the intelligence and you have to have the force that is equal to it. You can't be more intelligence and very little force, because then it's lopsided. You can be Mr. Bright Guy, if you don't have the force behind it and they're able to implement it or to do whatever, then of course, same goes with all. Too much force and not enough intelligence gives you a short-term win. You pass the crap out of the place using gunpowder and fucking rockets and whatever else you got in there, laser beams, such a shit. But at the end of the day, it falls away. It doesn't give you a long-term win because it's not maintained as a balance. If you look through history, you'll notice that if this was out of balance somehow, and the person who tried to attack somebody ended up falling apart. So that you win something, then you end up losing it again. So now what we're doing is going age of ethics, and then we're going to the age of technology. So after ethics comes technology. What's the technology we've got now? The kind of Facebook, military hand-me-down. This is going to fuck up your mind, intelligence, and it's clean and it's open and it's free and it's uninterfered with, no interference, no background listening, all that kind of stuff. I did a prediction about thing on a long time ago on the Twitter stuff. I think that the Twitter files and the Facebook files, something coming out. This data being what is it? Found out about, but then
Right.
Like the CIA were involved with it. So then I did a video predicting on that, and it's coming out because you're in communications. Obviously, stuff it's not real. Live blog, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. So the age of ethics, the age of technology. So we need the technology that's actually there to inspire us and to keep us and for life. That we can depend upon, that we can trust. We have to have trust first. So trust has to be restored because we've been betrayed, terribly betrayed, emaciated. So trust, ethics is where trust resides. Self-determinism. We talk about self-determination. Like we don't have any self-determination. We're told what to do and we comply or you don't. Get fined or you don't, you get put in prison or you don't, you have to do all these different things. You just have to comply. So ethics, technology, organization. So the three ages we can the age of ethics, very, very fast, very aggressive. And then the age of technology, which then we have to get the actual technology that we really need so we can really communicate with each other. We don't get cut off and lose signal and all that stuff. And then the age of organization. You can't have organization without ethics and technology. It's not possible. It's not. See, so the people who are talking about those other agents. So we are actually a lot of like you, especially we are we're kind of ahead of the game. So a lot of people that get involved in spirituals, so significances and information, and are actually talking about the age of technology, because technology in all things, not just everything in spirituality. What about spiritual disclosure?
Yeah, no,
Spiritual
absolutely.
disclosure. No, you're talking about religion. Spiritual
Absolutely.
disclosure. How many crimes there are in that arena?
People's heads are
Huge.
going to explode. Once they figure out that it's all fake, phony, and false. I mean, I'm not shy. I mean, I try to temper a little bit because I don't want to be completely abrasive and just alienate everybody. But that's not my intention. Is not to alienate and piss off and offend people. But the truth. We always talk about this truth and truth movement. What is truth? Is truth a black and white thing? Can something be absolute? But I don't know that it is absolute in a sense, because it's all about your perspective and your perception, right? Because somebody who has the indoctrination, and you have to use that word, indoctrination of the biblical Christian perspective and worldview, is going to look at the Israel Palestinian thing completely different than somebody who's does not believe in that set of dogmatic type of rules and regulations. So we have to come to a meeting of the mind, like you said, a balancing of information and ethics to be able to come to a universe. Like I said, is there a universal truth? Is there one thing is true? This is true and this is not. Is that are we all just pissing in the wind? With all of our
actually, I mean, look, I predicted because people wanted to know Janine, Terabyte Janine wanted, there was this game that we kind of played, Terabyte Janine and us, and it was like back in the day when Trump bought the platform, and he was still deciding, what am I going to call it? That was a big thing. What are we going to call it? So I thought, oh, that's a game. We can try and predict, see, remote view, predict and see what he's going to call it. So then I challenged everybody on the internet. Said, anyone out there that's listening to me, and I don't have like a huge amount of followers or whatever, but I just said, okay, it's interesting. So Janine was the one that sort of, because I used to watch it, because I really enjoy trying to predict what she's going to say before the cards get done. You know what I'm saying? And then she'd put the cards down and take, right, you know what I mean? So Mixx and I would be having a coffee in the morning, and the first thing we get on is like, Terabyte Janine, and then it's just relaxing, it's like cool, and she does everything in 5 minutes, and you get to see that she says this card, and whoa, look what's happened here. It's kind of exciting. So we used to watch her a lot, and then she was talking about truth, and I wonder what Trump's going to call it, and she was trying to do the cards, and something like that. I got interested after listening to her, and then I challenged everybody to try and see if they could find out what the name was, and then I put it out there. I said, give me the technical definition of the word truth. That's what I want. Give it to me. It was like a clue, to see it. And then what I did was I challenged them and said, no, you tell me. And then Trump, so it was a prediction, and then Trump called the truth. Okay, and you do get a fact. Fact is, if it's a proper fact, it's a fact, and that is the truth. Are the facts. If you know what I mean. So that's the physical universe.
Right.
The physical universe, not the spiritual universe, the physical universe. So the physical universe, it has locations in it. It has time in it. Okay, something happened at some time, whenever it was. So it's kind of like sort of Dr. Holmes, Inspector Holmes, or whatever. That's the truth. Or Perno, or whatever, Perno, that investigator guy.
Columbo.
Stash.
Oh yeah.
Columbo with a cigar, and I think it's Perno or Pernod. He was like a French sort of, had this like curly moustache, and he was always doing this. I think that's his name or whatever. He was he was like this incredibly sharp, like forensic sort of detective guy. He would always figure out what was going on. So you've got the time involved, the location involved, where it was, you've got an event that occurred, an event, something, and then and then you also have the and then also the sort of space, like how the event occurred, so the time of it, where it was, whatever, and that's the exact truth of it. You have the exact time, place, how things occurred, and the event, and all of it together, then it's a fact and the truth. So that's, people do that all the time. They look, investigating. So that's sort of really what truth is. That's just the physical universe mainly. And then the spiritual universe has a different kind of truth in it, because the truth for you, like you said, is what you know is truth. You know what I mean? If you know something, then about yourself or about something actual, you see, then that's different. What might be true for you might not be true for another guy, just like I said. It's just two universes, and the one backs up the other. The spiritual universe is used to drive the physical universe. The spiritual universe drives the physical universe. The physical universe is actually, it's like you take my two hands here, you can't see my other hand. You can't actually, it is there, but you can't see it so easily. And that's what the spiritual universe and the physical universe are joined together as one thing. Not separate. This is idea like separate. They're not separate. They're totally together. It's like a matrix that's embedded inside a matrix. And so that's how it is. And then, so you're dealing with something that is one thing, actually. It's not something here and they kind of squashing together or something. Actually, but completely, it's the woof and the warp. It's spiritual and physical combined. So if a person dies or whatever, or passes on, the physical universe doesn't go anywhere. Why would it go anywhere? Why would it disappear? You can still see it, experience it, still there. He's just not solid anymore. He doesn't have an object. It's like, I think I'm going to run through this wall. And then the guy starts running, you're running, and then he hits the wall. But he didn't hit the wall. The body hit the wall, because he goes through it, but the body goes bong, you know what I mean? And he goes through it. You know what I mean? It's like, you can't do that.
No. And then and we're trying to, and here's the thing, we've been conditioned so much that our opinionated, what we call truth, that we're trying to convince other people, yeah, this is the truth, but that might not be the case. And I'm always open. I put out there all the time, I'm open for other ideas, other viewpoints, my view. That's why I call my show Unpopular Viewpoint. They're my viewpoint. Unpopular as they might be, but I'm always open to more information. I have that growth mindset, that I need to learn. Once you stop learning, you might as well just cash in the chips and jump in a 6-foot hole, because it's all you're done. You got to be open to other ideas. And we've been so put these blinders on that we can't see the forest for the trees, because this is the way it's supposed to be. And if it's my way or the highway type of attitude, and that's just not the case. There's so many other people, that's why I appreciate, people like you and all the people in the chat that I've met, that this truth tour that we went on for the last 18 months, traveling the country, meeting different people and seeing different perspectives, has enriched me to no end. And I'm all in the pursuit of being the best that I can be. I always say all the time, today is the first day of the rest of your life. It doesn't matter what happened yesterday. Don't worry about what's going to happen tomorrow. All we have is right now. If I can be just a fraction of a percent better tomorrow than I am today, then I'm fulfilling my purpose, right? And
absolutely, you are because you are that it's difficult to inspire people. It's difficult to find to keep people cranking along, to keep them going. You have a kind of what I call social veneer. Social veneer is like a lot of these truthers, like truther guys, spiritual truthers / whatever. The amateur guys like us, we're not professionals. We don't have a team of people working and producing, and guys writing scripts, and people doing things for us like Russell Brand and all those kind of people. They've got a whole crew of people and stuff, and they know exactly what. But people like us don't have that. We're like kind of amateurs that are like doing as professional a job as we can. Things out there, and we are the people that people should be interested in. We're the people that are sane, that are sequitur, and that are seeing things and looking at them and saying, okay, this is what we know, this is what we don't know, and we're honest. Honest, at least. And honesty goes a long way. How many people out there do you think are honest? There's so many fucking fabricators and bullshitters and motherfuckers. Excuse me. They are. That's what they are. And then and so they create this fog and they create contradiction. You'll always find contradictions around people who are liars and cheats. It's a common trait. Contradict themselves all the time, and they create things that don't make sense. They don't make sense. Contradict things, and they say things that can never be fact-checked or proven anywhere in any place. No matter how much you Google your whole life away. You can never fact-check it because it's sort of something out there, whatever. It's just their theory or what they say, and then it's a whole experience of a sophisticated something, which means nothing. You wake up in the morning, you make yourself a cup of coffee, you know what I call peanut butter jam sandwich. We live in a world of flushing toilets. And these guys are talking about, this dimension and whatever, and that's supposed to be the information that nobody knows. It doesn't help anyone. Does it help you when you wake up on a Monday morning, on a Tuesday morning, on a Wednesday morning, on a Thursday morning? Does it help you? Does it change anything in your universe? Does your space change? Do you see yourself differently because of this? I told you about eighth dimension. Yeah, this is what happens over here, and on the seventh, it's different because they don't put this and whatever, and it's all this theory rubbish, and it doesn't have any value to your emotional state or there's no change. You don't change. It doesn't change you. It doesn't. If you don't change, what is the one thing that a psychic is looking for? To help somebody. It's the one thing that he needs. Who's more powerful, a psychologist or a psychic? Psychic's way more powerful than a fucking psychologist. Psychologist is no fuck, completely unpsychic. Doesn't know anything. He sits there with his clipboard and this is what I think's wrong with you. Okay, I want to show you. It's guesswork. Yeah, the guy's guessing, and then he's saying this is what's wrong with you. And if you think this way, then you get you to adapt to a situation. So do politicians, and all have this adaptation thing. The difference is if you change things to suit yourself, is the opposite. So you have adapting to the environment, yeah, and then the opposite of it is change the environment to suit yourself. This movement you're involved in is this side. We're tired of adapting. We are now going to change the environment to suit ourselves. I've been waiting for this for 33 fucking years. It's a long time, man.
Yeah.
Long time.
Yeah, and people are becoming war weary, right? They're getting, frustrated.
Very.
Many people, because of the way that this, I know that you're, very attuned and have studied a lot in the Q drops. When those things first came out, there was a lot of us, or a lot of people. Let me rephrase this: the people who were decoding the Q drops were putting forward a narrative that this was going to be over relatively quickly, right? We didn't think it was good. We were sort of thinking, people are going to wake up, the election's going to be taken care of and all this stuff. We're going to be moving on from all the evil's going to go away tomorrow. Trump's going to come back in office. We're going to flip a switch. Yeah. Everything's going to be puppy dogs and rainbows. You don't have to do nothing. Just sit back and, get your popcorn and watch the movie.
Yeah.
But this whole situation, that's not what I got when I was reading through the Q. I came to the Q drops very late. I mean, they started dropping in 2017. It wasn't until 2020 that I came across them and started looking into it. And I'm also very intrigued about the ESP and the engineer mechanical aspect of how you kind of approach things with problem solution, the factors of equations, and using that aspect to be able to, determine or kind of, look for the change and how we're going to be moving forward as humanity. How does that all work?
Well, really, the world is full of problems. Problem, my two things, the world's full of problems, right? Obviously, we know that people starving, dying of this, people getting cures for things that are imaginary, and then sick from things that, it's just full of so many problems, financial problems, political problems, diseases, starvation, and I don't know, whatever else there isn't. Really, but at the end of the day, those things are forces. So the world, they've done with the cabal is, because I always communicate from a spiritual viewpoint. Our viewpoints from a spiritual viewpoint, because in the end, the actual thing actually is a spiritual war. It really is, because all of the bullets and the gunpowder and the fucking warships and the submarines and the guided missiles and the torpedoes and whatever, it doesn't mean anything. War is a form of communication. Did you know that? It's the lowest form of communication that exists. When two people are talking to each other, there is something that's being exchanged, right? And right up top, you've got the spiritual universe communicating, ping, 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 just a bit lower. Then people start getting agitated with each other, and somebody lies, and there's lies and people manipulating, whatever. It goes further down. Eventually, people can't communicate any further. And when eventually they start firing hot lead at each other, start communicating, still communication, back and forth, using weapons instead of whatever. So lead is they communicate with lead and with gunpowder and whatever. That's a form of communication. We don't see it like that. Actually, literally is that. It's a dramatization of something that you just can't have it any further. So you just going to destroy each other and whatever. Oh, it's the lowest form of communication. I must just stick to the subject. What was talking about technology or whatever?
But utilizing the engineer and mechanical aspect.
Yes.
In the spiritual sense, it's like you said, there's a problems, and there's there's an equation that we can go through this problem using this type of engineer stuff and spiritual stuff.
Right. So if you look at the way the world is constructed, it's riddled with problems. Problem is energy has three ways that energy behaves. Only three. Energy is either flowing, electricity down a wire or something, electrons, electricity flows from here. Like water is a good example, flows down. It's either flowing, which is fine. It's going from somewhere to somewhere, which is great. Or it isn't flowing and it's got stuck. So that's like where it's gotten stuck or it's gotten held up. And so you have a kind of a ridge forming where it's kind of pushing against itself. It's not actually flowing in any direction, like two forces that are opposed to each other. And that is a problem. That's the anatomy of a problem. So what does a problem do? It makes it stuck energy. Problems are stuck energy. It's not flowing. Problem. And if it's well balanced, it's quite well balanced. In other words, the forces are sort of equal to each other. Forces. Something countering something else. Something countering something all the time. You find it in politics. All we're going to have to push it. Oh, it's a thing. It's a problem, and we have to fix it. What are you going to do? And we have to do this. We can't do that. We're always solving things all day, which exhausts us. We become exhausted by it. Exhausted. And you give a person too many problems, he feels like he weighs 1,000 tons. Why? Because you've got 1,000 tons of energy that's not flowing through the terminal. Energy is not flowing through. It's just not flowing through. There's no flow. So it's all jam. And we jam up people. And then the other way that energy behaves, energy flows, energy that gets jammed, it gets stuck. And it can be stuck for decades, and it's going to have a problem forever. It's never end. So have a problem for 30 years, the same problem forever. Maybe he's married to the wrong person. It's a problem. I mean, don't get rid of it. Anyway, there's like a lot of stuff up. And then you add all energy like disperses. Another thing, you need to disperse the energy. So if you have a heavy fear scare event, like 9/11. 9/11, what happened? Straight up, as 9/11 was happening, all of the energy in the United States was that's totally dispersed. People freaked out, terrified. Oh my God, they're being attacked or something's happening, whatever, and they're completely splattered. They don't know where they're going. They get, they're confused. They're totally confused. Confusion is a byproduct, dispersion of energy. Some people pretend like they're confused. They actually are. They don't really know where they are. When a being is confused, when energy disperses, a being doesn't know where they are. The interesting thing, it's a spiritual phenomenon. Everybody says it's psychological. It's not. But fuck all to do with psychology. Nothing to do with it. Is spiritual matter. And so things get the wrong treatment. So if you look at COVID-19, what is it? Psychiatric application. Actually, psychiatric. That's a prediction of mine. Sorry. It's going to be seen because now the being thinks is being cured. It has a kind of a mind control aspect. What about mind? But nothing to do with, oh yes, of course you can damage the person, damage the body, the person can die, all these weird things can happen, and Of course you can have physical damage. the whole thing was brainwashing and medication she had to take because of that brainwashing. See, so that's psychiatric, man. Another person says, "Oh, no, I'm good," whatever. Then he starts to feel strange, and that affects his thinking about himself and where he fits. And then he feels depressed because he feels kind of weird, and he's always getting treatment all the time. So if you look at it, it's psychiatric. So energy has three forms, and what I'll do really in the end of the day is they create these problems. They can't really be resolved, and they persist and they impact your physical. And that's why people get overweight. They get overweight because of the stuck energy. Because there's a lot of stress. Work is very stressful. Well, the work is full of problems. So the world runs on problems. And that's how the cabal actually really basically control us. And they give us problems all the
And
time.
it's so simple, but yet it's so profound at the same time. So just so I understand, I'm going to kind of recap. Energy is supposed to flow. That's the way energy is supposed to flow. What happens when energy gets stuck, say like a water against a dam, right?
That's
you
it.
got a hose and it's holding up that energy, holding up that river from flowing. So, and that's the state that many people are in through this, call it a fake reality, is we're in this stuck energy. And then when events happen, like when the dam breaks, like you said, 9/11, some other crazy world thing that's manufactured, whatever, then the energy starts to flow again. And then the people get into this weird, freaking confused, oh, holy cow type of thing. And then the cabal tries to put that block that energy from flowing again by giving us the drugs, making us, because we're right now, one of the largest, most highest selling thing is antidepressants. So that's a pharmaceutical way to block the energy from flowing. Is that what I'm...
Yes, because the thing is, look, it can't fix you. No one can really be fixed by someone who is not, like, let's say, a spiritual person. You know what I mean? You are spiritual, and your woes and your upset and your personal integrity and the situation that you're in and all these things are complaints. This and that and everything and whatever else. And there's so much on you, when you live in the world, just like you just got to get along. You just got to find something to do and go along and be magical and smile every day. And it's all just fantastic. And that's really a lot of fucking crap. I mean, look at nobody ever talks about the environment. Why is it that all of these scientists and fucking physicists and these clever, bright, word philosophers and whatever the fuck, why did they never mention the environment when they want to help somebody? Why don't they say, the world's so fucked, and no wonder you feel the way you feel? They never say that. They never ever say that. You're a motivational speaker. It's like Tony Robbins. You can make it. Just try harder. So it's like, I love that. Fantastic. The world's quite fucked up, isn't it, really? They never concentrate on that. They just sell, sell, sell. And these poor people don't ever have anyone who's really communicating. There's no real communication. It's just treatments and, various devices to re-inspire you. You're not trying hard enough. Putting enough effort into it. Even more and more and more and more effort. More effort, more effort, more effort. I have something called the scale of energy. The scale. Show people how energy functions. Like we were talking about energy, it either flows or it gets stuck or it just disperses. It's completely like when someone's in fear or like sort of terrorized, like literally is that they kind of lose location. So now, in this thing, so there's never ever go on about the environment and then they don't train you to look at the environment. That's completely insane. The cabal running the environment. This is what we had like in 1947. Everybody knew that the world was being run in a very bad way. A lot of bad people controlling and doing everything's about control. Everything in the world is all control. Have to control you. It doesn't matter if they die doing it. People don't understand the cabal actually. Cabal, it's insane. Quarter of the world, people in the world are insane. Quarter of the population of planet Earth is insane. And this is not an idea. This is a fact. He said it before Kwame said it, and then he said it. He said, well, probably around about 20%. That's 25%, mate. And then you've got the real hardcore, uh, uh, like radical evil cabal people that are like a few percent in the world. Very, very dangerous people. Super dangerous. And sometimes, when you see in society, there's enough people, between us involved, in our business lives, relationships. You see these insane people do pretty weird fucking shit. So why did the guy do that? A lot of things in the world are kind of weird. So the thing is that they can't really help you because they're not being spiritual. So what they did was they had to create something and say, but you're the problem. You're the one. It's you. Pointing the finger. You did it, though. And the guy didn't do anything. He's like, well, fuck, I'm just angry and upset. Well, the world should make you angry and upset. The world will make you depressed. If you look at it, you read the fucking newspaper long enough, it's just bad fucking news. Everything's bad news. Here is the good news. You know what I mean? Like, inspire me, motherfucker. I don't need Tony Robbins to inspire me, to give me some clever mechanism on how to think about things.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I'm not making fun of.
There is some, and some truth, and there's slivers, and people don't really pick up on it. There's, slivers of the truth in the Tony Robbins or, in that success mindset stuff. Yeah. There's little slivers of truth. Even this whole LGBTQ stuff where you can identify as whatever the fuck you want today. You can be anything you want. You can identify. There's some truth in that. That's the law. It's a universal, the law of resonance, right? You can, it's about you can manifest. Those are all these little pieces. I can see them coming together, for ultimate goal. But most people don't pick up on and push through and put all the pieces together. We need to work on ourselves, right? There is tons of bad news out there. And if you just focus on the tons of bad news, you'll want to jump off a bridge, because it seems pointless. But if you were to,
that's why people do jump off bridges. Sorry, I just wanted to say that's why it happened.
You have to observe, like you talked about the environment. Observe the environment, be aware of what's going on, but not let it affect you. And then, but how can I be better? How can I help somebody else overcome their situation? By looking at a different way. One of this, you mentioned Tony Robbins. One of the sayings, he's all about selling. That's 100% true. But I mean, one of the phrases that I really like, and it seems like a true universal thing, is where focus goes, energy flows. Right? What you focus on, that's where your energy is going to flow. So if you focus on all the negative, all of the bad shit that's happening everywhere, all the death and destruction and people dying,
it's terrible.
This and that. So, so if my focus is going to be on, my connection to source, I'm focusing on that. I talk about, I've been talking recently, I don't know if I mentioned to you before in our private combos, but just this message that seems to be coming through me that I'm trying to flesh out in a more cogent manner is, all getting through life and getting through this situation that we're in is all about connections. Right? The three main connections: the connection to source or God, universe, connection to yourself, right? Because if you're going to live by the golden rule, love your neighbor as yourself, but you need to love yourself first, right? You got to get some of that inner work. The psychologists call it shadow work. You got to work on, internal stuff, some trauma, some things that might be blocking that energy from flowing, free that up, and then connections to other people, connections to like you guys on the other side of the world, all the people in the chat, everybody who's trying to come up with some reasonable expectation or forecast about how we're going to move forward. Because we always talk about the problem. But what happens? What does this new earth, or what does this, if we get through this and this ends up happening, what does it look like on the other side? What is the solution? What are we working so hard for?
Is that so that we can help each other?
Yeah.
Really, really. Not some fake bullshit, fucking crap, stupid, whatever. Not with an expert. We don't need any fucking experts. We don't need, we can actually help each other. See, that's one thing that's not allowed. People shouldn't be helping each other. Not permissible. It's not permitted. It have to be qualified. Right. You see, people know how to help each other. But what has happened has been so compressed, what I call compressed, like spiritually compressed, by this life's very tough. It's super tough. It's not easy. Everybody knows that life is really fucking tough, really tough sometimes. For some people, it's so tough that it overwhelms them a lot of the time, and they actually have to cool off and they have to like rethink things. And sometimes the pressure can be very pressurized. So now, depending on where you are in the world, depending on where you are in the world, so some people have like free, they don't even know what they're eating the next day, and then other people don't even know if they're going to have any money. There's a lot of things. So the thing is that people actually can help each other. That hasn't been allowed. So they've kind of said, no, we're in charge. We know what we're doing. We're going to provide you with this. This is our version of help. There you go. Hope it helps. Like, can't guarantee anything. And there's no compassion, no love, no whatever. So the things that people need in order to get help are being broken down. Compassion's being done away with. Don't trust anyone. Everybody's a potential criminal. Somebody will rip you off. People make you promises and they let you down. Like, oh, this is going to help you, whatever. This guy tells you something maybe and help you. So health on this planet, actual health aspect of life, actually has become kind of moved over here to kind of betrayal. See, it's this thing. So people withdraw from everybody. Protect yourself, you've got to, build some fences and some high walls. And the country I live in, South Africa, it's the third most corrupt, violent, and insane country on planet Earth. In 2023, it is the third worst country you can live in on planet Earth, the most dangerous in the world. And it's much more dangerous than Honduras or El Salvador, where all those guys have got all that shit all over them. Casino, tattoos, and MS-13, all that kind of shit. It's way worse than that. I mean, Honduras is or Salvador is like number 8. So I'm coming from a viewpoint. Yes, the world's pretty fucked up and insane. It's an easy ride, in Canada, Australia, States, in comparison to where I live. That's all I'm trying to say. In comparison, if you were to compare, one country to another, we've been active for 30 years. We have sort of like a communist sort of type of government that is very weird. And when it comes to election time, like next year, they kill each other so that they actually assassinate each other inside the same party, the same political party. They don't bother with, there is nobody to compete with because they rule everything anyway. So they kill each other, assassinate each other on purpose. About 20 or 30, actually more, about 30 people have been assassinated in the last few months, just so that other people can take their positions. You know what I mean? No, it's just bang, bang, bang. It's like, just all the time.
So that's their form of communication out there.
Sorry.
They use the lens. And hey, next time, we're running on an hour and a half here. I don't want to wear everybody out because we can continue this conversation. I could talk for days about this stuff. But next time we get together, I'm going to need Mixx to keep it down a little bit because she's just been totally overwhelming us with the conversation. I can't get a word in edgewise. I know she's the one who likes to hide out behind the camera and not not say stuff. But I would like to hear a couple of things from Mixx. What's going on? Tell me how you feeling out there. What's going on? You're the behind the scenes. You don't have to come on the camera, but yeah, I'd like to hear from you.
Hey, puppy, how you doing?
Doing well. Very good. And I took that clip off of your last video, a lesson from Q, and anybody who's never seen or watched any of Rob and Mixx's stuff, the links are in the description of the video. So you can go give them some love on Rumble and Telegram. Those are the main 2 places. Their links for the Telegram and Rumble are there. So go give them some love. But I used your voice, your little voice thing, the lesson from Q. And there's just so much truth in that today. And I mean, that's kind of one of the things that really got me a little fired up the other day when I decided to go scorched earth on some of this bullshit stuff, because there's more coming. Believe me, there is more coming. There's more exposure of some of the not so humanity-minded type people is probably a nice way to say it. All the selfishness and greed and all this stuff that's going on within our movement it's disgusting and it's pissing me off. And we can't just not talk about it. Just because if you don't talk about it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. They'll be exposed in their own way. They'll just end up going away. No, we need to call this stuff out. We're calling out the evil cabal. Why can't we call out the evil sons of bitches that are here, lying and cheating and robbing people in the patriot movement and keeping us from moving forward as humanity?
Yes.
So your
Exactly.
message, and it's up to us to know who's telling the truth and who's not telling the truth. Who's going to be the ones there to help you survive and who is not. I love the way that you put that.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, it's very true. Exactly. And while you were going scorched earth, I was like, calm down, Poppy. Just had your device placed in. Breathe.
Yeah, breathe.
I love
Yeah,
you just
beautiful.
went all out, man.
I love that.
And we need more of that, because if you look at it that way, these people who are causing so much distraction in the truth movement are a cabal.
Yeah.
So we are still exposing the cabal.
Yeah.
Right. No, absolutely. And it's not about, anybody being better than somebody else. There's always this jockeying for position. We're always trying to compare ourselves. We got to keep up with the Joneses type of thing. I'm doing this and this person's not doing. It has nothing to do with that. It's about being authentic and being, open, because the people that say they really know what's going on really don't know shit. They're lying to you, and they're looking for the clicks, looking for the views, scamming people out of this and that and the other. But there are legitimate ways that people can better their lives as we make our way through this 3D world. From different aspects because we still need to live. That's the one of the we're supposed to be intelligent beings. How intelligent are we? How intelligent are we that we're the only species on this thing that we call Earth that has to pay to live and to eat?
Exactly.
It doesn't make no sense.
Exactly. And Q taught us to expose the lies. So why can't we do it within our own community?
Absolutely.
We're not being true truthers then, are we? If we're not exposing the lies within and without. Right,
exactly. Within and without. That's it. And a lot of it starts on that inward journey. That's why I said that's that second connection, going within. We had a lot of fun, talking about the whole Charlie Freak thing. And there is some truth. That's some of the scary thing in this controlled opposition for a lot of these people is there's 60, 70, 80% truth, where you do have to go within. But this the 10, 20, 30% bullshit that just throws everything off kilter and jams up the energy from flowing. I love that analogy. I'm going to use that a lot. Energy needs to flow and it gets jammed up. And how can we free it up? And the confusion comes from that sudden release of energy. If you try to stay constant, you can have a little bit more stability in your life, I believe.
Yeah.
I agree. The world is kept unstable. It's like being on a rocking ship. It's always moving. So people always having to adjust, always having to adapt. The stock markets, all over. There's always this constant movement. And then you find that you have to have these sea legs. And some people get seasick. Yeah. It happens because it's always moving. It's just a basic, so simple, with the attainment of a simplicity. If you attain simplicity, you accomplish a benefit.
Absolutely. Right. And
benefit is accomplished.
The only thing that's constant in this world is change. I mean, it sounds oxymoronic. The only thing I can count on is that the things that I'm doing now probably weren't going to work tomorrow because things change. Energy is always moving. You're either evolving or you're dissolving. I picked that up from a book that I read, Keurig Ashley, and How Love Would Respond is this book. And he talks about energy. There's a positive and negative. Energy is always flowing. And you're either moving. If you're not flowing with the energy, then you're falling behind. You have to work that much harder to catch up. So it's this constant. The only constant in our world is change.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And I can't wait for things to just settle down.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. That's all we're busy with now. People just have to realize that they needed that much time. They have to allow the people in, let's say, the United States, everybody's depending on the United States at the moment. If you just look at it, because everything's so critical. Everything that the world does, they always follow the United States. United States is like the military wing arm of Vatican sort of MI6 setup. Everybody knows that. And so if we get it right, because now it's time, you know, we sort of had to mature. Just the fact had to allow people the American politics had to allow us to, you know, to get fucked around, to realize that we'll never get any answers. Had to really, really put us under a lot of stress to say, look, this is what happens when nobody does give you answers. Like you find these congressmen who say, oh, we phoned your office last week. Get a response. You know, we requested data. I sent you several letters, and I remember I requested it, you know, 12 months ago. The guy's like a whole fucking year, and the person hasn't given them a piece of paper. It's like, what the fuck's going on? You know what I mean? And that's what they need to see, this hectic.
Yeah, and the
Just-
sleepers are seeing it at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like waking both parties up to how bad it really is.
And the judges are
And
starting to
that's,
crack.
yeah, that's why they had to do it the political way. And that's why it's slow again, because politics is slow.
Right.
So you can only do it at the speed of politics.
Right. And
So that's
I
what
think
people
the
have to
next move
understand.
the next move is justice, and the wheels of justice do turn, but they turn really freaking slow.
Yeah.
Really.
And so we got to use this time period of uncertainty as I'm looking at it as a training ground. You know,
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm training myself, because once we get through, because when more of this disclosure happens, all the people that still have their heads up their asses, when they realize that everything in their life that they've been taught, indoctrinated with, has been fake, phony, and false, and lied to, that their heads
Yeah.
are going to explode, as people like you guys and other people who, and myself, who are, you know, trained up, that we can come alongside with
Yeah.
compassion, with love, with empathy, and
Yes.
you know, kind of explain and help hold their hand through the process. You know, that's why I believe a lot of people are early to the awakening of what's going on, so that we can be the healers, you know, the loving warriors, if you will, you know, as we go forward to help humanity get through some of this, because it's going to get crazy bad. I just feel that you know, I don't know what's,
Totally right.
you know, it's going to get worse before it gets better.
There are so many lies in religion. There are so many lies. The entire religious facade is like kind of a plagiarism. Like, I'm not talking about spirituality. I'm not people who use you know, the people of the has been so there's propaganda. There's all sorts of stuff that's been manipulated. Just the people of the book are like three main religions. You know, whatever. So it's been used to attack other religions. You know, God's been used in war all the time. I've got a video that I'm going to be making soon where a guy's, you know, a priest, I won't say whatever, standing on a tank, you know, telling God, you know, I need some preference here for these guys. And I mean, how often have we used God in war? All the time. And it's really, you're like a God that's used for stuff like that. But there's a lot of things, a lot of stuff that has to come out. But all they want to do is just get people focused on justice, and then
And I agree with what Poppy's saying, because that's we're going to be like the stronghold, the guides to guide them through all the shit, because we
Yeah.
know it. We'll know it all already by then. You know.
Yeah.
We'll be like the Rock. Yeah.
the Rock, yeah, it's okay.
Harold just said in the chat that shit show is great fertilizer. So that
Yeah.
if
Very
you're
good.
not
Very
if you're not growing, you're dying. You know, you know,
Yes.
and you'd mentioned you know, more people since the dawn of time have been killed, murdered, maimed, and otherwise harmed in the name of religion than any other thing in existence.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's the way that you know, the creator is meant it to be.
No ways.
it's clear that everybody has their own God. So, you know, Christians have a God. I'm not, you know, good, okay, well done, magic. I'm all for it, you know. Then, okay, the sort of Jewish community or whatever, is that the same God as, you know, is it the same? I'm just asking. I mean, it's an honest question. I'm not trying to fool anyone or be manipulative or antagonistic, or I'm not criticizing anyone. I'm just saying, is it the same God? Because you use your God. God gets used for different things. What are you using God for? Interesting. And then you have the Roman Catholic Church.
Well, how are you putting God to use?
Is the Roman Catholic Church, how do they handle God? And then how did the Christians handle God, and how did the Jewish people handle God? And you
And then
obey
the
that
Muslims handle God.
same question can be asked of Islam. You know,
of Islam.
Yeah.
How do they handle
How
God?
do the Muslims handle God? Yeah.
So now they're all going, no, it's the same God. It's like, well, but you guys handle him completely different way. You think he thinks thoughts that are different because you treat him different, you say different things, and you're suspicious of. So then you wonder, and then you're always using this God for war. That doesn't. How would that work out? How does that work out for you? Uh, you know, both sides have got the same God, you know, whatever, and then both killing each other, and then how would that work? You know, so there's a lot of things in life that are confusing to spiritual beings. We are spiritual beings. That's why we love each other so much. That's why we're so special and so amazing.
absolutely.
It's what makes us special. If we weren't, if we were just meat sacks, we wouldn't really care. You know? Just wouldn't really care.
100%, 100%. Another one of Carol's famous sayings is you got to find the diamonds in the dog shit. You know,
I love that.
we got to look for the good in stuff rather than looking for the bad. And like I said before, where focus goes, energy flows. If we're focusing on all the negativity and the evil and the death, then that's where our energy is going to flow. If we focus on looking for the good and the love, and you know, I think it was one of your videos I heard that, you know, spirit, we tend to have the spirituality thing, and it's all kind of woo woo and weird. When that doesn't have to, we can be real. You know, we can say fuck and still be spiritual. I mean, it's
Yeah, of course you can. Yeah,
So-
yeah, sure.
But I've this has been a fantastic. Like I said, I could talk for days on this. We'll probably put a clothespin on this. We'll probably do this more.
Yeah.
You know, you guys are amazing. And I go into the description of the video, find Rob and Ms. or Rob and Mrs. channel, Rob Mercury and Mercury Family on Telegram, and then Rob Mercury on Rumble. Right? That's what it's the name of your channel.
Yep.
Yeah.
Rob Mercury.
Yep. Yep.
And I also love your symbol, the Hermes, you know, Mercury thing, and that's the messenger of the gods. You know, so
Yeah.
there's that aspect of it. But he's got some really great insight, you know, fun stuff. You know, not all crazy woo-woo, you know, really down to earth people. You know, glad we got to, you know, do this, having the conversations we've had on phone and Telegram has been fantastic. And I look forward to doing this more and more, because these are the type of discussions and ideas and thoughts that people need to explore to be able to undam that energy and get that energy flowing again, so that we can be more useful. Is as when the Earth splits in two and we can all go move over to that 5D section.
Yeah. I want to go too.
And like I said before, I was being facetious, but if I can't take my dog to the 5D Earth, I don't want to fucking go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Me neither. I'm
Yeah,
saying.
makes you kind of wonder. Yeah.
And then
Yeah. Thank you. I just want to say thank you, Poppy. Just thank you for hosting us, and it's a beautiful breakfast, happy morning, wherever you are there, you know, whatever. And we just thank you for
Good coffee and
having
good
us on the show.
conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. It was good. It was actually super cool, and it's interesting to go through the topic sometimes because people tend to rattle on too long about one thing. That is
right.
also
I mean, just expand. You know, Q talks about all the time. Expand your thinking, right? We need to expand. There's one question in here from Genius MU, which I think they're part of your family over there. Good conversation. Maybe next time. I'm super curious if next year is going to be dramatic change more than what we have seen so far. Does Rob care to comment on that? This is from Amanda in South Africa.
Oh, yeah, Amanda. I know. Yeah,
Hey, Amanda.
she's a real personality. Been around in the truth for like decades.
Yeah.
It's also somebody that just sort of rooted straight for
Truth.
spiritual stuff, very spiritual, and has done a lot of hard work in the truth movement, running different groups and helping people and doing all sorts of stuff. I mean, she really, and yes, with her question, absolutely, that is what we've been waiting around for. What have we been waiting for? All the true drops and all the crap and everything. You're waiting for 2024. That's the concatenation. That's the truth. The Trump prophecy that I made. I think Trump prophecy. I wrote a poem about Trump. This is when all of the stuff, all of the action happens this year, because the election year and Trump is in power actually for it's 12 years, 4, 4, and 4. So it's a 12-year cycle of action that it takes to turn a whole oil tanker around. You know, an oil tanker needs like 20
Right.
kilometers to turn around.
Yeah.
It's
So huge.
it's so huge, and that is and with as least casualties as possible,
Right.
the minimal amount of war created or attacks. At minimum, you know, which is a long-winded process. It's very long-winded, but it's
Right. And
year of action.
Trump has said multiple times that 2024 is the final battle. You know,
Yeah.
so you read into that what you like, and I encourage people just to be prepared. You know, be prepared. Expect the worst. I mean, expect the best, but prepare for the worst, right? Because we don't know what kind of situations are going to happen with supply chains and what. And we've heard these different stories, and I don't like to spread fear porn. You know, but it's a good idea to have a supply of water, maybe some food. You know, I joke. Every month I buy silver and lead, whether I need it or not, just to be prepared.
Silver lead. Yeah.
I love it.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting with the Brunson case. I've made a prediction long ago. Right in the beginning of this year, I said, don't worry about the Brunson case. It's not going to happen out next year. 2024, Brunson case is coming to full action. That's when all of the rubber's going to hit the road.
Yeah, he said all the committees have to be done first. All the House committee stuff, all the reveals, and then the Brunson case kicks in. That's when it's time. Not any time sooner.
I said that. Yeah. I said that at New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
2023 New Year's Eve on top of the mountain. I put my whiteboard against my car and whatever. I mean,
Yeah, the eve of 2022.
2023 New Year's Eve, and sat there and just did a whiteboard. And said,
Yeah, a year ago.
Yeah, now and that's what's really going to. That's like the people talking now. The Brunsons are really like us talking, and the judges are going to be cracking. They're going to crack the picture.
Yes, that seems to be one of the things you talked about. Communication and CIA when we very first started, and that I think is one of the next things. The bullhorn of the media and the bullshit propaganda that I think is beginning to crumble and fall. You know, it's just like people like myself and other podcasters and people out there, and you guys as well. We're sharing some news stuff, so we are the news, just like you said. You know, we are the news now. There's more credibility in, normal everyday people, putting their face in front of a webcam. We need more hands on deck. We need more people to be walking in their purpose or in their passion, acting on it, doing, not just sitting there. We need people doing things. We're all about action. Let's get involved in your local community. Let's get involved in helping people. Let's do the work that's necessary, and then that energy will flow, and ultimately we can't lose, right? We can't.
We can't. And support the honest guy. Support people like Poppy, myself, and people like us that are honest, that are straight, that don't fuck you around or bullshit you or fabricate rubbish or send you on a wild goose chase. Support these people. These people are the authentic ones. We actually trying to be there for you. We are being there for you, and you need to be there for us. As long as there's a good exchange between the two of us, we actually have a real, genuine conversation about getting, and people can answer genuine questions. If I don't know the answer to something, say, hey, I don't know,
Right. And there's nothing wrong with saying, I don't know. I mean, if I don't know, I'll try to figure it out. I'll try to find out. I'll let you know what I come up with. But also, since you mentioned that, the link in the description for the video is the link for Buy Me a Coffee to support Rob and Ms. You can go there, buy them a coffee, helps them out, because it does take a lot of work putting these.
A lot. Huge amount of work.
Yeah, the editing and all this. That's why I prefer to do live streams, because I'm lazy in that sense. I don't want to do all the time consuming editing and cutting of videos and all that stuff. I'd rather just be raw and live and let it fly. Whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Well, thanks for the time, and thanks for the morning show. And I hope it was entertaining but useful.
Seems like the people in the chat, loved it. So yeah, go give Rob and Ms. some love on their Telegram and Rumble. Buy them a coffee, and we'll get connected again at another time. And so I'm going to end the stream. You guys hang out. Don't go away. I got a couple of private things I want to talk to you about. Sure. But thank you everybody for watching. Share this out if it's been valuable for you. I know it's 2 hours is normally is a little longer than I normally go, but hey, when you're talking about important, life-changing, universe-altering stuff, time cannot be a constraint.
I like it.
Yeah. I agree.
Have a great day, everybody. Make it a great day.